The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Hello and welcome to another broadcast of Diakonia, a call to service. Diakonia is the Greek word for service. It's also the root word for deacon. And this show is dedicated to talking to and with those who are called to service, reminding us all of our baptismal call as God's people, not just to deacons. So it's a show by deacons, but it's a show about service. I'm Deacon Jim Norman, Vicar for Deacons with the Archdiocese of Chicago, blessed to be assigned and serve at Our Lady of Sorrows Basilica on the west side of Chicago. And joining me again, a co-host, Deacon Dave Brensick, who's the Associate Director for the Permanent Office of the Diaconate and serves at Holy Guardian Angels Parish in Brookfield.
Brookfield-LaGrange Park.
Brookfield-LaGrange Park. Thank you, Dave. Great having you with us.
Thanks, sir.
And our guest today is Deacon John Zobel, who is the Youth and Young Adult Minister at St. Elizabeth Seton and St. Stephen Deacon and Martyr parishes, which is, Deacon Martyr is in Tinley Park and Elizabeth Seton is in Orland Hills. Deacon John, welcome.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate you, Deacon Jim and Deacon Dave, for having me on here and allowing me to, share the gifts of our youth and young adults, through the ministry that, God has led me to. So very appreciative of both of you inviting me for today.
Well, welcome, John. Before we get started, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure, absolutely. I was born on the southeast side of Chicago, was baptized myself around the, not by myself, obviously, but baptized at Our Lady of Hungary Parish in the southeast side, which has been closed now for 25 years. The family moved to Midway Airport when I was in second grade and finished off my adolescence years through high school and on the southwest side of Chicago. I went to De La Salle High School, and prior to that, went to St. Richard Grammar School. So for those 12 years, I have three siblings, two brothers and a sister, and multitudes of cousins, and nieces and nephews and grandnieces and grandnephews, which I'm, very blessed to have a great extended family in that aspect of it. My parents have recently passed on, but again, to a very big part of my Catholic faith and the upbringing and my lifelong formation, I really pin that back to my parents as to where I'm at today in my Catholic faith and keep growing in it. Post-college, I am retired one time now. I worked for the Chicago Mercantile Exchange Group for 25 years, retired as a senior a manager for electronic trading platform and a technology division. Took a couple years off, moved to my place up in the Michigan, St. Joe, Michigan area. Took some time off there and recouped and came back to the Chicagoland area in the southwest suburbs around Tinley Park. My parents, their health was declining, so came back here to, be with them and, see them to, to the best I possibly can, along with my siblings. In that time, I joined St. Stephen Parish, transitioned to St. Elizabeth Seton Parish, where I was ordained through the diaconate formation as a deacon in 2022. When I did move back to the Tinley Park area, I did work at Hinsdale South High School as a special education educator. And through that whole course of time, post graduate age, one common thread was there for me. I was always involved with youth, more at the high school level. I coached high school basketball for 25 years, mostly at my alma mater, De La Salle High School in Chicago on the near southwest side. and at Lake Michigan Catholic High School when I was up in the Michigan area in St. Joseph. So I was always been involved with youth in somehow, some way, shape, or form, and felt I made connections with them over time. I felt that was a gift God was calling me to, and to be involved with the youth.
Great. So,
And excuse me.
so the parishes. Tell us a little about the parishes that you're involved with, like
Sure.
the makeup of the parishes and.
Yeah. So the demographics for St. Stephen Deacon and Martyr in Tinley Park, it is our defined parish in our southwest suburb as part of our Polish community that we serve as well. So we do have a Polish presence in terms of the worship, in terms of mass and devotions and prayers. So that's part of what St. Stephen Deacon and Martyr, as well as at St. Elizabeth Seton. Again, too, that's where my home parish is as a deacon. Basically, we're comprised of a very big Polish contingent out here in terms of demographics, but also we have a Filipino presence and Hispanic presence at both parishes that we integrate very well on many ways, shapes, or forms in terms of our worship as well as in service and socially. So both parishes really are about are within a mile and a half of each other. So in that aspect, the way the ministry is formed for the ministry I serve currently as a youth and young adult minister for both parishes, it made sense to go with this model with both pastors about 10 years ago agreeing upon sharing a youth and young adult minister between the parishes. And the reason for that is most of the youth know each other, whether it be from our regional school, which is Cardinal Joseph Bernardine, which there's four parishes that feed into it, which two of them are St. Stephen Deacon and Martyr and St. Elizabeth Seton, but also our local high schools, or even like the private schools in the area out this way, Marist, Providence, Brother Rice, St. Rita. So there's a good, collaboration amongst these youth knowing each other already. So it just sort of seemed to make sense to build this ministry towards both parishes.
And so you talk about that. How many youth between both parishes, youth and young adults? So if you'd give us those numbers separately.
I will have to say, first of all, I think as we're coming out of COVID, I think that's as we all are coming out of COVID, and just being very truthful, youth ministry might not be on a bucket list of many right now to join. So at this point in time, we just keep building upon that. But going back to 2 years ago today, actually, I was hired as a youth minister for this combined parish ministry. And I transitioned out for a year as a liturgy director at St. Elizabeth Seton. So I am back into the role as of this past February. So there was a little bit of a year break in between. But going back to your question, so I can answer that, is we probably had anywhere between 40 to 50 youth join us in a capacity of variety of ways. And our young adults, we're rebooting right now our young adult ministry in our grouping parish area here in Tinley and Orland Park. It sort of started it's just sort of started fading away, but we're rebooting that as well now. So there's no really great numbers in that right now, but we're looking to build that up within the parishes, but extending outside the boundaries of Orland and Tinley, but in the southwest suburbs.
And when you describe youth and young adults, what ages are we talking about? I know my parish, Our Lady of Sorrows, may define that a little differently. When we say youth, we may get up to 40 years old or to young adult, but
young at heart.
Young at heart. And that really probably reflects on the average age in our parish. But for you there at St. Elizabeth Seton and St. Stephen Deacon and Martyr, what are the age ranges? When you say youth, you're saying what age?
Youth, we're going from like eighth grade through seniors in high school or graduating seniors in high school. Then we have a transition point and trying to bridge that over. And our young adults start at the college age through the age of 40. So we do try to, but we also look at the young adults in, if you want to say, different buckets. You have those that are in college age. You have those that might be post-college or graduated or in a trade or coming out of the military. So we have that age of maybe over 21. And then we also have the bucket of those who are married and maybe have children. So there's different maybe ministry needs we can provide all three of them. And that's how we're looking to, not divide it, but see how we can grow their lifelong formation as they progress from college age through the age of 40.
And it seems you've approached kind of what I call life stage, segmenting the young adult by life stage. In college,
Yes.
right after college, young, married, perhaps with young children.
Absolutely. Because again, too, I mean, there might not be the flexibility, obviously, if a young adult couple are married and they have children, as opposed to somebody who's single, maybe just, who maybe just, transition out of trade school or out of the military back, moving to the area or graduated, from college. So we try to make that inclusive as much as possible. But there's still certain maybe ministry needs that we can provide for them and their availability as well.
You had referenced one of the reasons that the pastors saw it appropriate for you to be adult youth and a young adult minister for both parishes is that they knew each other outside of the parish community. Do your programs reach out to youth and young adults who are not members of your parish?
Yes, we do, Deacon Jim. We do that, and that's in that same fashion within our grouping parishes in Orland Tinley, but even outside of that, if a youth ministry presence is not present at the parish, we do welcome. Again, too, we don't deny an opportunity, and a lot of that really is something that I have, and I think a lot of our youth ministers in our archdiocese is bring a friend or two or a few. So what we mean by that is sometimes, when you're joining something new, you might not feel very comfortable. So with that being stated, we want them to feel comfortable. Bring somebody that, in your Catholic faith that may grow along with you. And then, you mature maybe into meeting new people and integrating and building other relationships just outside of your friends. So yes, we do invite, those from other parishes who do not have maybe a youth ministry presence and young adult as well.
In the time we have remaining before break, could you share a couple of programs or maybe three that have been successful?
Yes, we have our Tuesday night gatherings, which we meet, and this is all very much based on the school year. Summer is a little bit different because of more of the busyness sometimes and other activities and vacations. So from that perspective, we have a Tuesday evening formation. We meet weekly, and we also engage in service projects and also social activities in terms of that. So a service project we recently had was something called Buckets of Hope, or Hope's on its way, led by a group of deacons in the southwest suburbs. And with that being stated, it was a service relief project to help those in need that have just recently gone through any natural disasters, and collecting products or cleaning products for them that would ship off from our area here. The Tuesday evening formations, as I mentioned previously, we do talk about our faith. We have topics. It is a little bit structured, but not classroom structured. It's more engaging them and really listening and creating dialogue with our youth. And it's been so amazing, just the number of gifts that our youth have and what they're involved in. And then our social perspective is we also engage socially with our grouping parishes. We have something called our Southwest Youth Ministry Association, SSYMA, with our grouping parishes. We have a very, very recreational co-ed sports program. We have a season. We're in the midst of our co-ed softball right now, which is high school age, and all the other three parts of our seasons. Fall, we have basketball, volleyball in the winter, and then we just started pickleball this past spring. So we try to engage as well with our other parishes in our grouping out here.
You had mentioned, too, that kind of revamping what you're doing for the young adult program. What will be your start point? Where will you start kind of in that revamp effort?
We're starting the revamp effort. We're really focusing on Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati. There is actually a national organization that is based on this. So we actually have a young adult who actually was very passionate about restarting this under Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati's guidance. And again, too, at this point, he's to be ordained a saint in 2025. So there is really a national group, but it does filter down to even a local group. So that's what we're going to be looking at doing. And it's going to be very comparable to what we offer the youth. It's going to be our three pillars of spiritual, service, and social. As a matter of fact, we're having our first meeting this evening. It's going to be very informal, but again, too, it's been our grouping Southwest Side parishes who have been invited. So we're really looking forward to, rebooting and getting some leadership within our young adult ministry out in this area.
Thank you. We'll take a break here and we'll come back. We'll continue our discussion with Deacon John Sobel and his work with youth and young adults.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning. Because really, you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs. We are hiring. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is looking for mission-driven individuals who want to help make a positive difference in the lives of people in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Be part of a diverse, talented team of professionals in the largest human services organization in the Midwest. We are dedicated to helping people chart a more stable, happier future for themselves, and we accompany anyone in need, regardless of faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. Competitive salaries and generous benefits add to the satisfaction you'll have every day, knowing that you're helping us amplify our impact in Chicago. To see our list of employment opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net.
I am a seminarian.
The Church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
Are you able? Are you able? For I have come not to be served, but to serve, to give my life, if you wish to be the first you must seek, to be a servant, to be a servant of all.
Welcome back to Diakonia. Deacon Jim Norman, Vicar for Deacons with the Archdiocese of Chicago, along with my co-host, Deacon Dave Brensick. We're here today discussing engaging youth and young adults with Deacon John Zobel, who is the youth and young adult minister for St. Elizabeth Seton Parish in Orland Hills and St. Stephen Deacon and Martyr Parish in Tinley Park. Welcome back, Deacon John.
Too, for the opportunity, and I enjoy the first half of the show. We discussed youth and young adult ministry.
So, John, how do you engage parents in this ministry? How do they support you in attracting some of the young and the young adults to this?
So the way we attract parents is really through communication, in terms of like the bulletin articles that we read or that we have submitted on a weekly basis. We have something called a youth and young adult information zone. We also have some social media. We have Instagram, which is a big thing, and our Facebook at both parishes. So it's just engaging them. But you know what? They've been so welcoming to see the presence of youth and young adult come, back to formation at both parishes. They've been very supportive in many ways. So even fundraisers, we're pretty much a self-funding ministry in that aspect of it. So we have to have fundraisers like we just had about a month ago for our car wash. Many parents were out there to support their youth, along with that, and just having fun and really interacting with us. And I think it's building those relationships like Christ encountered others, how we encounter our parents and our youth and together, and just even the families. And it's trying to build that, that faith community, that one body in Christ, between both parishes. We never look at each other as separate parishes, St. Elizabeth, St. Stephen. It's one body in Christ. And it's building that through the parents as well. And really what, they see through our three pillars of, like I mentioned before, spiritually, in formation, and that aspect, us in service. I mean, we go outside of our parishes where parents have helped us out. We go to our jurisdicted archdiocese assisted living facilities. We've seen Christmas carols there. We did the Stations of the Cross. I don't want to say we did them, but I should say we actually prayed the devotion Stations of the Cross during Lenten with them. So we go out and we actually extend outside the four walls of our church. But the parents are very engaging. And again, too, some of the youth don't have a license yet, so they can't drive. So we are dependent on that. But they've been very, very awesome to be around, and they really are always asking, "What can we do? What can I do?" And it just makes it, a lot more smoother of a transition in that bridge.
Yeah, that's huge to have that support. So, John,
yes, it is.
What insights, what lessons have you learned in the time you've been involved with this ministry?
I think the lessons that I've learned is actually, again, too, it's, what, I'm never too old to learn, and it doesn't matter who I'm learning from. And I feel like I'm learning from the youth, and it's by encountering them, engaging them where they're at, and meeting them where they're at. I think that's something we have to look at in some ways with our youth and young adults, because they are in the question of why and how. It's not, going back to when I was growing up and, my parents like, let's go to church, or, let's go to the Stations of the Cross during Lent. And yes, I understood, but I think we're so many beautiful media outlets now that, I try to engage them on these formation nights. Like, what is the history of the Stations of the Cross? How did they evolve? Why do we pray them? And why during Lent? And can you pray them outside Lent? So, this information about their lifelong formation has really been very prosperous, and they've really been soaking this up, which is excellent. And it's also, growing the domestic church, bringing this home to their parents. And it's just been a beautiful, I think, collaboration. It's been pretty transparent in that way. The other part of it, though, too, is I want to belabor the point, is it's growing their lifelong formation. So, maybe they've outgrown being an altar server. But do they know that, once they're confirmed that they can, by prayer and discernment, can they, be a lector? Can they be an extraordinary Eucharistic minister?
Sure.
Can they be an usher? Can they be involved in liturgical ministries? And over the next 2 months, I will have trained 3 lectors and 3 extraordinary Eucharistic ministers, sorry for fumbling the word there, and 2 ushers between both parishes. I did get the approval from our Archdiocese of Chicago Liturgy Director to do so. Todd Williamson sent me the structure, so they're not going to have to go to the Vicaria training, and it's developing that. and keeping them apart and growing in that aspect of it. So it's much more than just meeting on a Tuesday night and talking about our faith. It's growing, and they are present, but they're also our future leaders of our Catholic Church. That includes young adults as well.
Wonderful. I was going to ask, it seems too that your Tuesday formation programs, are they involved in the topics that you will cover, setting the agenda for topics?
Yes. So basically, what we did, and I call it, and this is no reflection because I believe we both have strong, very religious education programs at the parishes, as well as I mentioned the regional school, Cardinal Joseph Bernardine, and their religious formation through that. But I'm calling it a little about recatechizing because, you can learn about how to pray the devotion of the rosary, early on when you're younger and maybe not really understand. So I've brought that out. For an example, as one of the formation evenings as we were approaching on April 30th to the merry month of May. And, I gave them a physical sheet of how we pray the rosary, and we have a beautiful, beautiful Marian garden out at St. Stephen. And we went out there and prayed the rosary, and, we had people leading or the youth leading. And it was like, I've done this, but, I'm learning more about it. During Lent, there was a great resource that we use, Lent for Teens. And it was a one-page, the 40 days of Lent that they would follow along, and we would discuss that during the Lenten season. And, so it's just, again, too, it's not that they haven't been involved or exposed to this. And like I said, we have strong, I believe, religious education programs out here. It's a fact of just, they're at a different stage in their life. But it's not a dialogue, it's not a monologue, it's a dialogue. I engage them. And I want them to give some examples of how they're living out the light of Christ in their life. And I can be on here for 2 hours telling you how beautiful some of our youth have just expressed themselves and not realizing they were living out the life of Christ as disciples. So it's just that engagement with them and just that yearning for more. And that's what's really been our Tuesday night formations. But in that Tuesday night, we engage. We have a social aspect. So we have our gyms are open. We have, blank canvases for painting. So we try to cover those who, enjoy some type of activity.
Thank you, John. I appreciate your taking the time out with us to talk about your work with youth and young adults. I appreciate your insights. It seemed to be the theme of that was a full engagement and paying attention to the stage that either a youth or a young adult was, and then working with them at that stage and engaging them in their faith appropriate to that life stage. So I appreciate the work you're doing. Thank you. Keep it up. We certainly need our youth and young adults involved. You're right, they are the future leaders of our parish communities and the leaders of our faith to those we don't know.
John, real quickly, how can people get a hold of you or if they want more information? Real quick.
They can get a hold of me. My email address is JSOB as in boy OL at gmail.com. or JSOBOL at ST as in Tom, E as in Edward, S as in Sam, E as in Edward, T as in Tom, O as in Oliver, and N as in Nancy.com. So JSOBOL at STECton.com. Again, too, I'm also available if they need to. Call in the parish at 708-403-0101.
All right. Thank you so much, John. God bless you.
All right, God bless. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Are you willing? Can you be baptized like I have been baptized?